News Channel 5 Network, this is Morning Line with Nick Beres.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us on Morning Line. I'm Nick Beres, joining you right now on a Tuesday. We got a good show on tap. As I told you yesterday, get ready to dial it up. I know a lot of you who follow this program look forward to our guest who comes on this morning because he can help you with Social Security, disability, SSI. All right, it's knowing whether or not you should apply for it early, take your early retirement, hang on to it, all those types of questions. And if you're not close to the retirement age, knock on wood, neither am I, there's still things you need to consider now. I mean, hey, have you lost your Social Security card? Do you know where it is? Things like this. How important is the number to you now these days? How often do you use it? All those questions. 737-7587 is the number. I'm sucking on a lifesaver right now. I had a dry throat this morning. With me is Josh Horn. Good morning to you,
morning,
Josh.
Sir. Morning, everyone.
Nice to have you on. It's true. I mean, taking calls for you, and we take them, and we'll open up the lines if any of you have questions about where you stand right now, maybe applying for Social Security, disability. But it's not too early to start thinking about and checking your Social Security even before you're of retirement age, right?
Right. There are things you can do to prepare, checking your earnings record, go ahead and creating that My Social Security account so you can take a look at your record to get your benefit estimates, to make that good informed decision on when the right time for you to retire is. You know, some people kind of make a knee-jerk decision sometimes, and then some of those regret it. And so, you know, you should be kind of preparing for it, thinking about it, getting your numbers together ahead of time.
I was just on it the other day. It's a kick. Every once in a blue moon, you go on there, if you start that site, and you go in, and it documents your earnings for every year of your life that I guess you paid taxes
That's right.
on it. It goes all the way back to my senior year in high school. And it is interesting to watch, except for a few little bumps in the road. It's interesting to see how, you know, I first started making, you know, minimum wage back when it was like $3 an hour, and how much, and just with each progressive year, how you grow, hopefully, and increased your salary. As I said, I had a few bumps where I took a step backwards. But it really is fascinating. And then looking at how much money you may have coming to you when you retire. And the big difference between taking it early and if you can put it off. And that's what I think you mean. Some people think, what's the earliest I can retire? I'll take it now. And that's great. You can. But there's a substantial difference between taking it early and then holding off just another, what, 3 or 4 years, taking it full. I mean, it's almost double over just that 4 years. What a difference.
Right. And if you're planning on living, if your longevity, if your family longevity is anything, then you're going to want to probably wait and take it then. The other thing is you can take that estimate, and that will let you know what other sorts of investments or savings you need to have. A lot of folks, when they retire, all they have is Social Security. And we've said on this show before, and I try to say a lot, Social Security is not intended to be the only source of income when you retire, or even when you're disabled, that it's supposed to be part of what they call a three-legged stool in combination with any kind of pensions, annuities, investments, and then also any other savings that you might have. And so that you know, getting that estimate will let you know kind of what you'll need to add to it.
Sometimes in this business, because I cover it and I'm around it, and so I get an understanding of it. And you wonder about the general public, just maybe because they're not as engaged with that, thinking, well, I know I'm working now and I'm not saving much, but I have Social Security to live on when I retire. And I know there's people out there that think that. Now, I know there are some folks who have no choice, and for whatever reason they weren't able to save money, and I sympathize, and that's what they have to live on, which is very difficult. But if you're counting on it, you're right. I look at that, and then you think about what, and the sad fact is now, pensions have gone the way of the dodo bird in society today. Companies used to take care of you much better than they do today. And that's gone. So now you have to set some money aside in a 401k or have a savings account or an IRA or something like that. But you don't want to just depend on Social Security alone. Just to remind folks, the very rich of the rich, which would be, there's a cap anyway, but the very richest of the rich get a maximum of how much a month?
I believe it's about $2,700. You know, if they've paid maximum tax every year, it's $2,788 a month. That's the most you can possibly get if you paid maximum taxes every year for at least 35 years.
And the maximum is, I guess it's changed some, but is it 250 based on earnings?
Not even even that much, really. It's this year it's $128,000.
Oh, really? So $128,000 is what maxes you out on the max amount.
Yeah, you don't pay any Social Security over that amount.
Okay. You gotta raise that.
That's one of the things on the table that they batted around a little bit.
I would say raise that, but whatever. You know, no one likes to hear that. But yeah, that's interesting. 2,000, which to some people may sound like a lot a month, but keep in mind that's the very highest level, and it's not a lot when you really think about some of the bills and all that you may have as you age. So anyway, that's something to think about, and it's worth going on there. You can open up that account real easy. Just go to the website. It's my
social. Well, you go to socialsecurity.gov.
Yeah.
And then up in the corner it says either create an account or log in, and it'll ask you some security questions. And a lot of folks will have trouble with some of the security questions because there's some pretty tough security questions because we're very, very serious about making sure you are who you are when you sign up about that. And so they may be asking you some questions, and if you have trouble getting past those security questions, you can bring your ID, your driver's license or photo ID down to the Social Security office, and we can help you get past that first stage because we do want you to have that account when the time comes, you know, and you need it. So
someone called in and couldn't stay on the line, but just with regard to things that can affect your Social Security, if you're taking your retirement, if you sort of happen to have a reverse mortgage, that doesn't affect you, does it? Having a reverse mortgage?
No. The retirement is kind of independent of a lot of any kind of other insurances or income and things like that.
Now, if you're on some type of SSI or disability, if there's a means, and I don't know if you could have a reverse mortgage, and that if you had some asset, that could, any kind of income coming in like with SSI could affect you.
Yeah, SSI is kind of the opposite. Everything affects SSI.
Right.
Social Security, with the exception of workers' compensation, it pretty much is independent.
Okay. Usually if there's any notes or things you want to bring to the attention of our viewers. Do you have anything?
Yeah, well, talking about my Social Security accounts and online services, we actually have a new online service that rolled out last month, and that's the Appeals Council request. And so a lot of times when we talk about appeals, if you get denied that first time through, you can send it up for a reconsideration, you can send it up for a hearing to go before an administrative law judge, and that's usually the gist of what we talk about. And you can do those things online. You can file for a reconsideration, and you can file for a hearing online. Well, after the hearings level, if you disagree with the judge, there's actually another level of appeals, and that's called the Appeals Council, and you can write to them and they'll take a look at the judge's decision and see if he covered all the bases. They'll take another look. And up until now, that was a paper process, but you can actually file for an Appeals Council decision online now. So that's something that's kind of new.
That's pretty neat. Okay, but it's got to be done online, right?
Well, it doesn't have. I mean, we can still do paper like always.
Okay. Oh, okay.
But then now there's the option of doing it, you know, from your home or from your family's house or from the library or wherever.
All right. I know we may get a call on this, but it's usually not till November. But you know what they're going to ask.
Yeah.
Okay.
Someone's going to ask about the cost of living, and and that's good. Hey, I would probably be asking that too, but
wondering if there's going to be a cost of living increase. Yeah.
And the reality is that usually in late October or sometime in November, Congress sits down and looks at the cost of living adjustments and makes that decision. So we won't know anything yet.
Okay. Don't know. I'm trying to remember. Last year there was a modest one. They've been smaller, wasn't there? Wasn't there one last year?
It was 2% last year. It's usually 1 to 2%. There was a few years a while back now where we didn't have any because the economy was poor and there just wasn't a cost of living adjustment. And like I said, last year was about 2%. So if I was a guessing man, I would guess somewhere in that range, 1 to 2%.
Yeah, because we're not hurting like we were several years ago when we didn't have any. And it's based again on GNP and the general cost of things and the cost of living. And most everyone is going to say, you know what, every year the loaf of bread goes up in price. Yeah, and you're probably right, but they look at a lot of factors on that.
Right.
But I would anticipate you'll get some type of increase, but we won't know that for sure until late October or November.
Right.
All right, listen, it gets busy, so we're going to put the phone line up there and we're going to take a break. So the number is 737-7587. If you're on hold, stay there. Again, we just covered some broad bases there, but if you have questions, if you're applying for Social Security disability, SSI, if you have a question about, whether or not you should take early retirement, maybe you think, hey, do I need to hire a lawyer to go through all this process? He'll do everything he can to help. So we'll take a break, be back with your questions. Jump in now before they all fill up right after this.